We must, as a country, move beyond diversity by the numbers. We must pursue true diversity of thought and experience. We must, as a country, address the educational crisis that is condemning lower-income children and robbing the U.S. of millions of educated, productive citizens. We will have no ability to compete if we do not do so. We must reverse the drain on college funding. We have to reach the students in the critical year before they enter high school, and we need to create viable training for non-college students so they can be relevant in the new economy. We have to consider how the U.S.'s movement towards a two-class structure is helping drive a homogenous culture at the top levels of American companies, and within those companies we've got to be willing to increasingly step out of our comfort zones, hire and promote people who don't talk, walk, and think like we do. And we must learn to effectively manage and leverage the inherently diverse talent in a workforce that is spread across the globe. Global diversity presents legal and HR challenges that don't have easy solutions. No one has all the answers, but the discussions like the one we're beginning today, I believe, are helpful in reshaping the core dialogue. Thank you for your time, and I was told to leave an abundance of time for Q&A. I look forward to the exchange.
Today at the City Club of Cleveland, we are listening to Carl Camden, President and CEO of Kelly Services, Inc. We will return to our speaker in a minute for our traditional City Club questions. Now, we would like to return to our speaker for our traditional City Club question and answer period. We welcome questions from everyone, including guests. Holding the microphones today are City Club Outreach Coordinator Deborah Agasti and intern Kim Leary. Now, the first question, please.
Yes, Mr. Camden, you made a very strong point, and I think it's a very good point about the decline in our secondary education. I believe that in this country, back in, say, the late 40s, the best college in the country was $750 a year. In the early 40s, perhaps $300 and $400. Is there some way, and also in countries like Denmark today, it's free. Is there some way that we can get back to that or not?
There are many ways we can get back to it. I think it's more a question of will we exercise the political will to do so. My son is 18 years old. I'm visiting colleges, and I hear numbers now of 30,000, 20,000, 40,000. And of course, he likes the more expensive ones so far as we, as we travel. But I'm fortunate enough probably to be able to provide access to that college. When I was presenting yesterday on this topic, and I heard people making good middle-class incomes who were saying that they didn't believe they could afford to send their children to school, we have a problem. The colleges are working hard. I sit on the boards of several. I see them working in areas of new technology and so on to drive the cost, but I believe that fundamentally, even with all the reform efforts that you see with the use of the internet and with other types of activities, we're not going to be able to drive the cost down to what is basically an affordable level. And we're going to have to decide as a country, is it social policy to make access available to individuals? And that debate hasn't started.
Thank you for your insights on moving us beyond this concept of structural diversity. But my question to you is, what strategies have you used to recruit and retain truly diverse leadership teams? And how have you been able to encourage and sustain the rigor of an inclusive corporate culture?
Without turning this into a 15 to 20-minute speech as to what we've done at Kelly and what's worked or not worked, there's one particular program that I like that I'm encouraging other companies to engage in. Often as we try to address imbalances in our management teams, we often look for hires at the top, and that's important to do. But those we have to recognize are just going to be temporary fixes. What companies need to do is to look at where are the stream of managers coming from in the company, where do our senior vice presidents grow up from, where do the VPs start out in their careers, and make certain that we're feeding into those key positions that tend to disproportionately produce vice presidents and above, that we seed those with as many people from a variety of backgrounds. We recruit heavily in traditionally African American and traditionally Hispanic schools to make certain that we have a diversity of background. We feed those individuals often not into the corporate headquarters, but into our field operations and branch management, where I want to see most of our leaders come from. When I look at the progress Kelly has made as an example on inclusion around gender, it's been very easy because such a large proportion of our branch management has been women. When I look at the lack of progress we've made in other important areas, it's generally because, in my opinion, such a low proportion of our branch managers represent some of those critical areas, and we need to then feed, and we have begun to do so.
Mr. Camden, you spoke at great length about the diversity in America, and you mentioned Barack Obama. And my question is the other side of the coin, and that is the prejudice that occurs sometimes covertly, sometimes openly, against blacks. I know it's very difficult to measure, but to what extent do you think that prejudice will play an important role in the election, not only in the South, but also in the North?
And I'm often willing to answer political questions. In this case, beyond my knowledge, haven't seen the polling data and don't directly know. I, of course, optimistically would like to believe that we'll accept or reject a candidate based on viewpoints stated. That there are those who would accept or reject on other reasons has been a truth in all countries and will continue to be a truth. While I think we've made progress, I don't have any good knowledge as to how much of a factor it'll play or not play.
I was so glad that you said so many welcoming thoughts. It's very refreshing, and thank you very much for saying so. But my question is, the reality is we live in a country right now that says things like, if you don't agree, you are against us. Or America #1, don't pay any attention to other people from other country. And this is the kind of voices we hear from Washington, D.C. And you are going upstream, swimming pretty hard. It may not last more than so many months, but so how do we survive a few more month following your wonderful suggestion? And I am an example of being in Cleveland, being treated so well as a diverse minority.
Thank you. Given that the average tenure of CEOs has been declining fairly rapidly in this country, I'm always sensitive to comments about having only a few more months. It's not only an American trait of viewing yourself at the center of the universe. As I visit Japan, as I visit China, as I look at the former policies of the United Kingdom, those of us who have enjoyed cultural or economic hegemony over a period of time do tend to view the center of the world as existing, where we are. We're going to go through a rough transition here in the U.S. To go from being the dominant economic power in the world to being one of a group of strong economic power will be a tough transition for us. It's a tough time for us now. And it won't be a question of a change in mindset occurring over a few years. It'll be a change of it occurring over a couple of decades. But it will occur because if we're going to compete in the world, we have to acknowledge the reality and deal with it. We have a tremendous amount of natural assets. And one of the things I cut out of the speech because I was running short on time there because I got long-winded here and there. We have a tremendous diversity in this country, and it's increasing. We're far more diverse and far more inclusive of segments of our population representing many more geographies and ethnicities than any other country I know of. So if we continue an American kind of only dominant attitude, we fail to leverage what's one of the key assets we have in the United States, which is such a remarkable diversity of community and backgrounds. If we use it, we will do incredibly well in the global marketplace. Right now, we're not using it enough, with many companies as notable exceptions. But I think that also is a critical asset to America.